Hi, it's Tash. Welcome to Tash's Library. Today's video is going to be looking at the best book of each month that I read this year. Now, I am filming this in mid-December, so December's not quite done, but I'm just going to go through what I have read. And for each month, I'm just going to give you a list of the books I've read and then my final decision as to which was the best one. Now, obviously, I'm not going to give synopses for these because we will be here forever. So without further ado, let's start with January. I will also not be including audiobooks in this. So every book I mention is going to be a book that I've either read in a physical form or as an ebook. Mainly because my audiobooks tend not to be fantasy sci-fi because I can't focus on fantasy sci-fi audiobooks. So yes, without further ado, let's start with January. So in January, I read 11 books. I read Starling House and Rendezvous with Rama, both of which I gave 3 stars to. Also Emily Wilde's Map of the Other Lands and Everyone in My Family Has Killed Someone, which both received 4 stars. And then I gave 7 5 stars. Whopping month. Although, you'll see why. Because I read heaps of the Murderbot Diaries. So I read books 2 through to 6. So that's Artificial Condition, Rogue Protocol, Exit Strategy, Network Effect, and Fugitive Telemetry. I also read The Hexologist by Josiah Bancroft and The Will of the Many by James Islington. All 5 stars, love them all. But look, I have to give it to The Will of the Many. I think this was just such a riveting read. February, I read 8 books. First one was Neuromancer, and I gave that one 3 stars. Just not my writing style. I gave 6 4 stars. So there was Queen Amid Ashes and Tales of the Sun Eater Volume 1, which were novellas, short stories in the Sun Eater series. I read The World We Make by N.K. Jemisin, The Halfling's Gem, which is part of the Legend of Drizzt, The Witch and the Tsar, and Neverwhere. I only gave 1 5 star in February, so it's very easy to decide what my favorite book was. It was Redemption in Indigo by Karen Lord, which was just superb, based on a Senegalese fairy tale. Just lovely book to read. March, I read 8 books. First one, Time of Contempt, I gave 3 stars to. Then I read 9 Princes in Amber, which is part of the Chronicles of Amber, The Invisible Library, A Natural History of Dragons, and Skandar and the Unicorn Thief, all of which received 4 stars. And then I gave 5 stars to 3 books, and that's A Quiet Life in the Country by T.E. Kinsey, Northern Lights, which is part of his Dark Materials, and Station Eternity by Muir Lafferty. And for me, this is an easy one. My favorite book of the month was Station Eternity. Just really fun sci-fi. Then in April, I read 12 books. So this was like a superb reading month. I gave 4 3 stars, and that was Shigadi and the Brass Head of Ubalophon, Dead Silence, The Rhythmatist, and The Monsters We Defy. Then I gave 4 stars to Binti, The Night Masquerade, and Foundation's Edge. And then I gave 6 5 stars. So it wasn't just a quantity month, it was a quality month as well. And my 5 stars were Nettle and Bone, The Book of Doors, The Tainted Cup, City of Blades, The Wish Song of Shannara, and The Priory of the Orange Tree. And my favorite book of the month, though, had to go to The Tainted Cup by Robert Jackson Bennett. This was just superb. Sort of fantasy murder mystery, my kind of thing. Totally my jam. May wasn't too shabby because I read 11 books, and this was quite a range though. Superb in terms of 5 stars, but I also got some mediocre ones. So I gave 1 2 star, and this was to The Demon in the Desert. Then I gave 3 star to From the Earth to the Moon by Jules Verne. 4 stars were given to Everyone on This Train is a Suspect, Sunbringer, and The Silver Blood Promise. And then I gave 5 stars to All the Horses of Iceland, The Boy, the Mole, the Fox, and the Horse, which is a really cute little picture book, Eversion, The Truth, The 7 Deaths of Evelyn Hardcastle, and Rise of Empire. And so many 5 stars, but a book of the month had to be All the Horses of Iceland which was just such a beautiful, beautiful book that made me feel really good while I was reading it. So just a lovely book about horses and just people. Then in June, I read 8 books. Now, sort of. I didn't quite read 8 books because I had a DNF. I did not finish Tomorrow and Tomorrow and Tomorrow. I hated this book so much and I stopped it. I gave it about a quarter of the way and I just didn't like the toxic friendship in it. I was bored, so I stopped reading it. Sorry to all the people who love Tomorrow and Tomorrow and Tomorrow. Anyway, then I read Winds of Change by Sam Paisley and I gave that a 3-star. And then I gave 4 stars to The Pig in the Derby Hat, Something Wicked This Way Comes, and The Man Who Died Twice. Then I gave 5 stars to 6 of Crows, The Wolf and the Whale, and The Way of Kings. So pretty solid 5-star books there. And look, I'm kind of tossing up between giving my book of the month to The Wolf and the Whale or to The Way of Kings. But I feel like I need to give it to The Wolf and the Whale because it was just so different and unique. And it was just such a beautiful setting. And yes, I love that book so much. So if you haven't read The Wolf and the Whale and you like sort of Indigenous stories and you like mythology, read it. July. I read 13 books. Now this sounds like a lot, but I was on holidays, so that made it a lot easier. And also, I didn't quite finish one of the books, so sorry. I had another DNF, and I did not finish The Palace Job. I got about halfway, and I was just a bit bored, so I gave up on that one. It just didn't feel like it was worth my time. I then gave a 2-star to Our Lady of the Artilects, and I will not be continuing that series. I gave 3 stars to The City of Stardust, which I didn't love very much at all. And I gave 4 stars. That was To a Letter to the Luminous Deep, Half a Soul, Stories of Your Life and Other Stories, and Leviathan Falls. Finally finished that series. And then I gave 7 5-stars, which was like incredible. This was probably one of my best months and very difficult to choose which book I would choose as book of the month. Because I read Something in the Woodshed, which continued the Trussell and Gout series that started with The Pig in the Derby Hat. Then To Be Taught If Fortunate by Becky Chambers. What Feasts at Night by T. Kingfisher. When Among Crows, which was a 2024 new release. A Canticle for Leibowitz, awesome. Foul Days by Genevieve Damova. And Words of Radiance by Brandon Sanderson. And look, I've got so many books I loved here, and I'm kind of tossing up between Foul Days and Words of Radiance. But in this case, I have to give it to Words of Radiance, just because that book's a masterpiece. It really is. It's just incredible. I'm loving the Stormlight Archive so much. August, I read 10 books and I gave 3 stars. And that was to In the Market for Murder by T.E. Kinsey, The Emperor's Finest, which is part of the Caiaphas Cain series, and One Dark Window. Then I gave 6 4-stars. And this was to A Psalm for the Wild-Built, The Cloud Spotter's Guide, which is a non-fiction about clouds, obviously. City of Miracles, which is a sequel to City of Stairs. So it's a 3rd book in that series. Then I read Song of Silver Flame Like Night, which I really liked. Kai K, which was wonderful as well. And Ninth House. I only gave 1 5-star in August, which makes it really easy to decide on a book of the month. And this just had to go to Doomsday Book by Connie Willis. I adored this book. Yes, it's dark at times, but oh my gosh, the humor and the writing. Oh my gosh, I think I've done a review on this, so have a look. September, I read 11 books. And of course, September was my scientific September month. So mostly this is science nonfiction and science fiction. So I gave 3 stars. And this was to The Secret Lives of Planets, which is a nonfiction about the planets in our solar system. Also to Just One Damned Thing After Another, which is a Chronicles of St. Mary's, series. I didn't love that, so I'm not sure I'm going to continue that series. And then Ringworld by Larry Niven, which has issues, and I will review that. Then I gave 5 4 stars, and this was to the Black Gods Drums. Oh my gosh, what a beautiful book. This is How You Lose the Time War, The Life-Changing Magic of Numbers, which is a non-fiction book about maths, Floating Hotel, and a memory called Empire, which I'll definitely be continuing because, oh my gosh, that was good. And I gave 3 5 stars. And this was to Annihilation by Jeff Vandermeer, Storm in a Teacup, which is a non-fiction about physics, and then The Kingdom of Copper. And look, for this, I have to give it to The Kingdom of Copper because I was just blown away by the sequel. This is a sequel to The City of Brass, and it was amazing. I just read it so quickly, and it's quite a chunky little book. Chunky little book is a bit of an oxymoron, but anyway, you know what I mean. October, probably my worst reading month, which is a bit sad considering it's my birthday month, but things didn't quite work out. I mean, they did because I read some good books, but 7 only. But that's okay. I'm okay with that because I read when it brings me joy to read, and I don't have an issue with going, okay, I want to do a jigsaw puzzle today, and I don't want to read, and I will not force myself to read when I don't want to read. And it's seldom that I don't want to read, but I also want to take some time with some books that I'm reading as well. So I'm not going to beat myself up on this. I gave 2 3 stars. First one was to Can't Spell Treason Without T. I didn't love that book, but it is in one of my rapid reviews that I've done recently, so have a look at that. And also, like the second, third star was a real disappointment for me. It was The Hunger of the Gods by John Gwynne. Yes, I was a little bit disappointed with that book, so it's a bit sad. Then I gave a 4 star to The City and the City by China Miéville. Really good. And I gave 4 5 stars. And this was to Shady Hollow by Gino Black. Cozy little mystery of animals. Heir of Novron, which is the 3rd book in the Riyria Revelations. A Fall of Moondust by Arthur C. Clarke, and The Fall of Hyperion by Dan Simmons. And look, this is tricky because I have to say that those 5 stars were all amazing, and particularly torn between Heir of Novron and The Fall of Hyperion, because I love The Fall of Hyperion so much too. And The Fall of Moondust was really good as well. But I'm going to give it to Heir of Novron because it was the most satisfying ending to a trilogy I've read since The Lord of the Rings. And I know that's a big call, right? But it was just so incredible. So Heir of Novron, it is. November, I read 11 books, sort of. I DNF'd one. 10 books plus a bit. And the one I did not finish is The Ministry of Time, which is interesting considering it just won the Goodreads Award for Science Fiction. And it's the most boring book. I read about 100 pages and I'm like, I can't read this anymore. I think it's also not for me because it reads a lot like contemporary fiction and it seems to be going a romance way as well, and just not my type of book. It wasn't a book for me. I don't think it is science fiction really. It's contemporary fiction with science fiction elements. And so I think it was not marketed particularly well. But anyway, I did not finish. I'm not going to read it. It's a waste of my time because it's not the book for me. It might be the book for you though. Then I gave 3 stars to A Prayer for the Crown Shy by Becky Chambers, which is the 2nd book in the Monk and Robot series, to Small Miracles, and The Man in the Queue by Josephine Tay. So she's the author who wrote The Daughter of Time. And so I've started the 1st book and that was really kind of fun. A little murder mystery. I gave 5 4 stars to System Collapse, which means I'm up to date with the Murderbot Diaries, to Gideon the Ninth, Service Model, Cold Clay and Mirror Lake, which were the sequels to Shady Hollow. And I gave 3 5 stars to Twilight Falls, which is another book in the Shady Hollow series, to Pawn of Prophecy, which is the 1st book of the Belgariad, and All the Murmuring Bones by Angela Slatter. I think it's Angela, A.G. Slatter. I love that book. That book surprised me so much. It was like so good. So however, book of the month for me has to be Pawn of Prophecy Belgariad, it's just my kind of book. I love the traditional epic quest fantasies. Now, December, as of the 15th of December, I have only finished 3 books. I have also finished an audiobook, but I'm not going to talk about that. I've read 3 books that I've logged towards the Reindeer Readathon, and I'm midway through 2 other books. So the ones I have read, though, have been amazing. They're all 5 stars so far, and that's Blackout by Connie Willis, Monstrous Nights, which finishes up the Foul Days duology, and The Life of Heaven by Ursula K. Le Guin. All 5 stars. At this stage, I'm probably giving Book of the Month to Blackout, but anything could change still. And I'm currently halfway through Camus's The Plague, and I'm loving that as well. So that's shaping up to be a 5-star. But anyway, I will do a wrap up in January of how I went in the Reindeer Readathon. So I can let you know if Blackout does indeed get Book of the Month. Anyway, that's a quick sweep of the year. They're my best books of each month. Now, these do not necessarily equate to the best books of the year, because obviously I could have read all my favorite books in the same month. But I will do some sort of favorite book at some point. I'll either do like best of, or top 10, or an awards. We'll see what I do, but I'll probably do that early January so I can include my December books. Thank you for watching, and until I'll see you next time, take care.